And then I got to looking at it, and I'm very confused as to what the heck it might actually be.
Tales of Weird Stuff presents Weird Shugart Drive Thingy.
Rather than posting this video on Thursday as I had originally intended, I'm recording it on Thursday. This previous week in Portland, the temperatures have been ridiculously hot. We've had multiple days in a row over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly 40, 41 degrees Celsius, and my air conditioning was not working. So in my basement where I have all this set up, it has been over 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll have to put on the screen what that is in Celsius. That one I don't know off the top of my head. And it's been too hot to even think, much less turn on these studio lights. So I didn't. But yesterday, the air conditioning unit was repaired, so cooler heads can prevail. Anyway, so I can actually get back to recording this video. Hopefully it will be able to go live tomorrow. We'll see how everything goes. This is finally one of the items that I teased in my my year preview trailer that I released way back at the beginning of January. I think this is only the second or third item on the list. I'm just going to start looking at this. Is also continuing my adventures with OBS, so we'll see how this goes. I picked up this. I don't even know what it is, honestly, but I picked it up at the same estate sale where I purchased the 4004 boards that I talked about in a video last year. So it was around this time last year that I got this, and it's just been hanging out. When I saw it, what I saw on it that caught my interest was the dual Shugart drives, and they are actually Shugart Model 400 drives, like the real deal, not one of those not one of those pesky Tandon knockoff drives. But I have no clue what this. I thought this was just some kind of. When I received it, it was actually. This was notched in here like this. I just saw it and thought, oh, it's some kind of external drive mechanism. They had only a few dollars on it. You know, it was a really cheap price. So I thought, all right, you know what? These drives are worth that, you know, whatever. And then I got to looking at it, and I'm very confused as to what the heck it might actually be. So, massive power supply here with two huge capacitors, which is why this is now the third computer in a row that I'm not going to turn on. One of them I tried to turn on. I tried really, really hard to turn it on, and I'm going to return to that one. But this one I don't know about, just because of these capacitors. There's some sort of. These must be the bridge rectifiers, I'm guessing. I'm not sure. The drives, and then this control board. And the control board, which I'm going to pull out here so that you can see, has a bunch of RAM, more 2114 RAM, which I was informed are 1K by 1 SRAMs. An 8080, an 8080A processor. Multiple two 8251s, an 8228, some control logic, a 1771D floppy controller, and then a pile of ROMs. So it's a computer. It's a whole computer. I mean, maybe it's a whole computer in the same kind of way that a Commodore 1541 disk drive is a whole computer. But then the thing that really confuses me is on the back. Just the best way to show this is going to be like this. Is a port that says terminal, and it is wired up. There are, as you can see better from this view, there are only two lines connected to it, so it's connected up like a serial port to connect to a terminal. I don't understand it. And there's a missing, an empty, unpopulated slot that says line. for line printer, maybe, to connect to. There's, obviously something missing there. So this is the, at first when I saw this, I thought that this was a totally janky power connector, but this is the connection to the serial port. Maybe this would go to the line out, but it doesn't. There's so many questions. The back side of the board, just the connector to the floppy drive. The board does not look great on the back. The solder mask is not great at all. Oh wait, there's a maker's mark here that I had not noticed before. I'm going to peel this tape off. Let's see here. Let's see if I can use a little IPA. Let's see if I can clean that up a little bit. Let's see, what does that say? It's backwards. Hot ink 1977. It says it on the top. Oh, am I just seeing through the top? No, it's so that's weird. So it's on the top forwards. Maybe that's HGT. Could be HGT on there. So it says it on the top, it's written properly. And then on the bottom of the board, it's the same thing, but backwards. I don't understand that design choice. Serial number 1190, and really no other markings except house prom 1 through 6 with dates. Dates April 19th, 1979. I don't even know how to begin to guess what this is. Part of what has taken me a little while on this project is to get a computer set up with an EPROM reader, which I have, and I set far enough off camera so that I can't grab it. I purchased it from a longtime channel viewer. Thank you, Eric. Like last summer, and I just finally got around to building an appropriate Windows computer. It only works with Windows. I don't have any, so I built, in keeping with the theme, I built a Windows XP computer. So I'm going to very carefully remove these ROMs. I'm going to do my best to remember how they were on here. Good thing I'm recording this, right? So I'm going to remove these ROMs super carefully. I'm going to put them in that device and see if I can dump them. Part of the difficulty is going to be without removing the label. I won't know what kind of ROMs they are, and I really don't want to try to remove those labels. So that device does have the ability to, well, its software has the ability to, maybe there'll be some markings on the underside of these, to identify ROMs, so maybe that will do. And that does not say anything useful. EC4/B/X. So I don't know. I don't feel like that is a useful identifying mark. And that says the same thing. So I'm going to remove all these. I'm going to go dump these ROMs. And then when I get back, probably what will have happened is I will have changed, and I'll be recording myself and capturing my desktop while I look at these ROMs in a hex editor on Linux, and see if there is anything to be gleaned from it to figure out what this beast is and what it was actually for. I don't know. Maybe it's just external floppy drives for something that communicates over serial port. I mean, that is essentially what a 1541 is. It's a computer with drives that communicates with another computer over a glorified serial port. So, all right, editing will happen. That was a lot more difficult and irritating than I would have ever dreamed. Holy smokes. So, before I look at what's in these ROMs, I'm going to walk you through the process of how I got this, because it was not awesome. So I decided, I Google searched for 24-pin EPROM 1979, because that's the year I know these are from. ROMs that came up at that time were 2708. So when I used the software that comes with the GQ 4x4 programmer here, I looked up 2708, and it is not in the list of supported formats. And I thought, well, what? So I looked up 2716. Yeah, that's there. Looked up 2732. Yep, that's totally there too. What? So I did some more searching. 2708s are ROMs of that era. There were a lot of ROMs and RAM chips and things from that 70s era. For a long time, we had relative luxury of RAM and ROM. It needs 1 voltage. It needs 5 volts, plus 5 volts, and everything will be cool. Everything will be fine. These dirty little dogs are from an era where RAMs and ROMs both frequently needed plus 5 and minus 5 and plus 12. And modern programmers, they don't fly that way. That is not, they don't do that. So I did some searching and found a web page where a guy describes how you can do this, how you can read a 2708 on any EPROM reader. And I gotta say, so it was specifically in relation to reading ROMs from very old arcade machines. He's very cavalier about this. Bend up pin 19 and pin 21. Do what now? You've already lost me, dude. You've already lost me. Solder a wire onto those pins and onto pin 12. No. So what I did instead is I found a socket. I bent up those pins on the socket, and then using these little clips, I clipped them on to the appropriate pins. And to get the voltages, I used an old AT power supply that has minus 5 and plus 12 and also has ground. So you need the power supply ground on pin 12. You need plus 12 on pin 19 and minus 5 on pin 21. There's a specific power-up sequence that I couldn't really do because the programmer doesn't give voltage to the chip until you start reading. So I had to kind of do the best I could. What a fabulous disaster. I think I managed. I don't know if all of them read properly. I already took a peek because I wanted to make sure that that I had something, damn it. At least a couple of them I'm confident read and read correctly. The other ones I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my setup here so that you'll see me, and it'll hopefully, if I can figure out how to make OBS do this, I'm still learning. It'll capture my screen, so we'll be able to see what I'm looking at on here, and see if we can figure out what the heck that contraption is. Before I actually dig into it, one last thing. I know, I'm such a tease. I want to show the web page here where the guy's talking about this. Read out of any 2708. Read out of a 2708 on any EPROM programmer, and it's bend upwards pins 19 and 21. Like, And he shows, he's got an image here where, he's showing it. Like, he actually bent the pins and, maybe actually, oh, gosh. Now, what I wish I would have had instead of this, well, I probably would have still used this socket because I didn't feel bad bending the pins on this socket and ruining it. But I wish I would have had another ZIF socket to put in the socket that I was going to modify, because that would have made swapping those chips a lot easier. That was kind of a hassle. Okay, so now we can just go look at these ROMs. So when I dumped them, here's the 6 images. I haven't trimmed them down yet. I had to dump them as 2K ROMs, so it should just be the same image twice. Because it's going to ignore that other address line. I think the other address line is one of the pins that was bent up. So it's not even getting to the chip, so it's just going to read the same thing twice. I'm going to put these in my GitHub with at least like a picture of that device. And I'll trim them down to 1K each, but before I do that. In the meantime, so what I did to look at them is I used a utility, I guess I can make the font a little bit bigger, called OD to dump. It's short for octal dump, but you can give it parameters to make it dump in other things. It's a standard Linux utility. So I can look at these, and most of them, I mean, there's something on this. So the lines that have that just are the asterisk, like this line here, means there's a whole that all the missing addresses there are just the same as the previous line. So it's all just a bunch more CFs. So this file wasn't too interesting. And the second one was was even less interesting. I'm suspicious about this one, especially since it's basically all Fs that maybe it didn't read back correctly. Maybe I did something wrong. I may eventually retry it. Not tonight. This was too much of a hassle to get going. Now, number 3 looks like it has data. So I used another utility called strings that looks for stuff that looks like ASCII text in a binary file, and if it gets at least 3 bytes in a row that look like that are text characters, it will output them. And whoops, not stings, strings. Would help if I could type. And this has some stuff. Now again, it's repeated, so this is, so starting here is the repeat, but there's something there. Speed set, interparameter codes, file empty. I mean, that's not too interesting, but it gives some hope that that something worked right at least a little bit. This might have some data. There's a lot of Fs and CFs, and it's kind of making me feel like that one. I don't know, a bunch of these, I may try to read them again, and there's no strings in that one, okay. So 5 looks interesting. There's some data there, so let's look at that. Okay, so this actually has some stuff, but more, I don't know, like this isn't telling me top reached, end reached, enter line, lines deleted. I don't know. Okay, is there anything on 6? Okay, so 6 looks legit. Okay, copy disk error, disk drive A, disk drive B. So there's some stuff on here. So here's where the repeat is. Number of lines changed. So I don't know. I don't know that this helps me. I don't feel any closer to figuring out what the heck this thing is than I was before. So, the mystery is still a mystery, I guess. I don't like I said, I'm going to put up on my GitHub, I'm going to put up the pictures of the device, the ROM dumps. Maybe tomorrow, if I'm if I'm feeling less discouraged, I'll try to dump those other ROMs again. There was three of them that seemed to that at least had ASCII text in them, and those looked good. Three of them that maybe didn't dump. I mean, those images might just be bad. Right? It's entirely possible. I can try those again, but I'm totally at a loss for what the heck this thing might be. All right. Well, it was an adventure. If any of you have any thoughts or suggestions or ideas of what the heck this might be, I'm pretty well convinced that it's not just a standalone disk drive. It was clearly interacted with a terminal and did something with something. Anyway, anyone has any ideas, has seen a thing like this, used one back in the day, please post something in the comments. I would love to I'd love to crack the case, so to speak. I probably won't revisit this in a video, but I do have a huge number of other projects coming up. There's at least one of the things from my teaser trailer back in January that I am going to get to this year. I promise. If you're interested in seeing any of that or any of my future projects, Septandy is coming. I've got some stuff, some cool stuff planned for that. I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed this video and want to wish me luck, I would really, really appreciate a like. And until next time, try to remember the good stuff.